Hey everyone, you've landed on the Swing Trade Pros website here. My name is Mr. Know-It-All. I've been an active swing trader for over 7 years. I want to welcome you guys all to the community here. My goal is to change 1 million people's lives with swing trading and trading profitably. This is a skill set you can learn here with the service. You go check out the testimonials in Discord. You can see lots of folks talking about the service and how the trade calls are super profitable. You can check Profit Gains channel. I think we've amassed around $150,000 worth of profits in the last year posted in the Profits Gains channel just from other users and traders in the community. I'd like all of you guys to check out the 14-day free trial. A coupon code will be pinned in the comment section below this video, so check it out. And we'll take you through 14-day free trial process here. You come down to the website, save 44%, and claim your 14-day free trial. Click on that. And that will take you to the Swing Trade Pros website where you can click sign up now. And after your 14-day free trial is up, on the 15th day, you will get billed, full disclosure of that. And I appreciate you guys all joining the community. It will change your lives. Give it a chance. A lot of these swing trades can take months. One of our biggest trades of the year last year was INJ. We took an entry at $1.60, and well, that asset's trading over $35 today. So that was one of the banger trades that I pointed out. My strongest pattern that I trade that I'm known for is the falling wedge. I call it the falling node wedge pattern. Lots of divergence on these charts, and that's what makes these patterns really play out. And you guys are going to be able to really learn that in the service, and I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys on the charts.
All right, welcome back, traders. Hopefully y'all had a wonderful weekend. We had some interesting news with crypto reserves and crypto summits, obviously putting out bullish news into a corrective move into the market isn't going to change the price action because the charts are still pointing down on the monthly timeframes. All right, so pretty simple. Tether still pushing here. That monthly bull div isn't going away anytime soon until these momentum oscillators kind of reset, right? So is it bear market stuff? Could be. I wouldn't go ahead and say that just yet. But it does look like we would put in obviously a top, right? The S&P also kind of looks toppy. I think, even if we are going into a bear market, that we will get an attempted rally after Bitcoin finds a major support, which to me is still around that 70 to 74K range. I don't think, Bitcoin's not really in jeopardy of losing its uptrend until it takes out the June low, which was like what, 48K or 50K or something. We'll take a look at that here in a second. So everyone that's screaming bear market right now, I'm not saying that it's not a possibility. It's definitely in the cards, especially with Tether the way it's looking on the high time frame. But what's interesting to me is the ETH Bitcoin ratio. This is becoming extremely cheap down here versus Bitcoin. Okay. I'm looking actually for this ratio to come back to make a double bottom. That would be a prime area to probably roll Bitcoin for ETH. Now, if we go into a bear market, then it doesn't really matter how this is going to end up performing. Maybe this just continues to make lower lows. It can. But this is a potential setup I'm looking at. I'm just looking at a chart. I'm not saying that that's going to play out. We're going to look at Bitcoin here. We are printing a monthly short signal, which we've never actually done. But what is interesting is if we do take out this long-term trend line, if we do take out this trend line on the monthly here, which we're kind of close to doing that right now. We haven't taken it out yet. And even if we do take it out, we're probably going to back test it, right? It's not just going to be a straight down type of thing. But to me, this trend line here is really what we're looking at. So This trend line here dates back from, I mean, you could even bring this all the way back from like 2011. Every single time this Bitcoin got above this, we were in a major bull run. So we never actually really got above it this cycle, which is kind of why this cycle's been kind of weak, I think. Okay. Yeah. So we finally took out this 90K level that we've been talking about for quite some time. We broke that range. And so on the range breakdown, you're looking at a 16% move down, which I think we've almost done. We haven't actually completed that move. That move is down to about 77K. But if you look at volume profile, there's not really a lot of trading volume in these ranges right here. So your volume bars are actually pointing to, this range right here, which is right around that 70K level. This consolidation range here, where we spent like 6 months of time. So to me, that's actually really good market structure. Bitcoin's not in a macro downtrend. It's in an uptrend. All right. So anyone that's like all bearish on Bitcoin right now is kind of stupid, because if you zoom out on the chart, it's going to look like a blip on the radar here in the next few months, or maybe the next couple of years, right? Unless this thing just actually just breaks this and just fucking goes to zero or something, which I don't see that happening at all. Anyways, so back to what I'm talking about here. The futures gap, we never actually filled. We got close to filling it the other day. Not that I really think it matters that much. I think, so the gap fill is right around 77.8. I think we tagged 78K, which was like the daily 200-day moving average, or we wicked right off of the daily 200 and made an attempted rally on that Trump tweet. And now we're gapping down. We're actually still above the daily 200-day moving average, which to me is kind of surprising. But that's good. The problem is the high time frames, man. That's the real issue here, right? The monthly bearish divergence on the stochastic RSI is a real thing. We made a higher high on price, but a lower high on the stochastic RSI, and that's going to cause a lot of selling pressure, which is what we're seeing. And we got our MACD rolling over here with monthly bear div. Usually this marks tops of cycles. Usually. So I mean, I'm not here sitting saying, "Hey, man, this is the top." It's really difficult to be like, "Hey, that was the top." But we did something similar here in 2021, where we ended up coming down and making that retest, right? So I think we do get some sort of retest. I don't know if we end up producing a higher high or we make a lower high, but I think we will get a retest of the major market structure. So I think we're going to get a bounce somewhere along this line before we really do end up going into, if we are going into a bear market. Okay. That's just my take on it. Never have I ever seen Bitcoin just go straight down without a retest. If this wasn't a blow off top like 2017 run up, this was a blow off top here in 2013. There's a lot more capital involved in these markets today. So I don't, if we do break this, I think we do make an attempted rally back up to like maybe close to 100K or something, maybe make that lower high. Then we really double top, and then we really break and go lower. Okay. Something like that is what I foresee happening. And maybe on this push up, we get some sort of weak alt run or something. I don't know how that's going to play out, but we do have, something. The only thing that's making me think that this cycle isn't done is the DXY. So the US dollar index is usually a pretty good indicator of hey, do we want to be risk on or do we want to be risk off? Right. And so we spoke about last Sunday the head and shoulders pattern in development on the DXY, and we actually ended up getting that breakdown this week or last week. Okay. This happened. We got this movement down. All right. Now, whether we end up, coming back down to the range low, I think what ends up happening, and the only real way that this market stays in a bull run, or really stays afloat, is if the dollar does break this support and come back down to this bottom of this channel. Okay, that is, I think, the only real way we see markets go higher from here. With the bearish divergence that's playing out right now, we get a reset and we make even more bearish divergence on the way back up. Okay. And that would be the only way that would play out. So those are my thoughts. I am still holding some spot positions, long-term spot positions on Bitcoin that I had acquired earlier in the cycle. I don't really plan on exiting that, truthfully, because I don't foresee Bitcoin going sub 25K longer term. I could be wrong. Maybe it will, but I don't think so. I think maybe worst case scenario would be actually like 30K, like this level right here on the monthly time frame. But usually in bear markets, if this was the top and we're not going to retest it and we're not going to do any of that stuff, our weekly 200-week moving average is usually, where Bitcoin finds its bottom or close to its bottom, right? So that would be right around 45K right now. If we get deviation, yeah, I think 30K is possibility, right? Yeah, because if you look, we never actually retested this structure. We just broke out of it and just started running. So it would make a lot of sense for us to come back down and retest this structure here. Okay. That would be like what, a 70% drawdown from the all-time high to retest 30K. Yeah, so that would actually be less of a drawdown than our normal bear markets, right? So this was an 78% drawdown. Yeah, so that would actually make some sense for us to come down to like 30K or close to 30K. We spent a lot of time this cycle consolidating below 30K. So that this is actually going to be a strong base for Bitcoin. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Yeah, so I would say really worst case scenario, we go into a bear market after we bounce here and maybe retest and really make a double top or a lower high or something. Or what ends up happening is, what nobody's thinking is going to happen is we end up actually making a new all-time high. We make the move up to like 150K, which is what I think we might do, truthfully, in some time, maybe into Q4 or maybe end of Q3 or something. I don't think this corrective move is done yet on Bitcoin until we really, tag these major support levels and consolidate there. Yeah, I agree. They're going to front run everything, just like they front ran the halving, made a new all-time high before halving. So the only thing that they don't give a shit about is altcoins, right? So like, except for maybe ETH. That's why I think ETH has a shot at doing something. Yeah, but they're creating them right now because they're going to eventually buy. But why would they end up buying up here, dude? Right? Like if they can get, a 50% discount to buy it, why wouldn't they wait to do that? Think about it. Getting a nice manipulated move down right now. I wouldn't even say it's manipulated. It was all written all over the chart for like the last couple months, right? And we basically were explaining that for a while, saying that once we break this $90,000 level, we were going to get this pullback, right? Now, we hadn't had matured bearish divergence on the stochastic oscillator in January. But yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't think holding Bitcoin long term is a bad play, man. In fact, it's probably one of the best assets you can hold long term. Like, you should probably just ignore what this number against the dollar is, really. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, why do you, nobody should really care about dollars here long term, really. Like, they just print that shit. Like, it's worth nothing. It's only worth something because people still trust the dollar, that it has a value, right? I think at some point we're going to see this in gold value or something, or in some other commodity value that is actually people want, you know. I think eventually people won't want dollars for Bitcoin. They won't. It might be in like 10, 20 years, but if you have that inkling and you have an understanding of that, then you shouldn't really care about what the Bitcoin value is in dollars. Do you know what I'm saying? Unless you're trading it and you need the cash or something. If you need the cash, well, you shouldn't even be in crypto. Yeah, well, I mean, Sailor, no offense to him, if they dump this shit down to like 67K, he can get liquidated. Yeah, it will, Toe. I don't believe there is actually a top for Bitcoin. There really isn't against dollars, because they just print infinite amount of dollars, right? It just comes down to if people want to store their wealth in Bitcoin. If people all of a sudden say, hey, I don't want to store my wealth in Bitcoin, then Bitcoin becomes worthless, just like anything else. If it's not supported, if it's not used, then it becomes worth nothing. But that's not the case, man. We're actually seeing a lot of, like, the fundamentals of Bitcoin are, I would say, stronger than they've ever been. So I think that it's the opposite, actually. It's the opposite. So yeah, man, like, maybe a dip down to, I mean, even if we do get this dip down to like 50 something K or whatever, like, who cares? I think we're going to get a bounce around 68 to 74K in that region. And then we get a probably a very strong bounce there, and we will get a tempted rally. Either we break the high and make lower levels of relative strength and lower highs on the RSI for another more bearish divergence, or we, come short of making a new all-time high and make even more bearish divergence, and then we roll over, and then we do something like this, kind of like this. But that would have to also be confluent with what the dollar's doing. You understand? If the dollar is going to continue shitting the bed, then Bitcoin should actually be rallying, or at least consolidating bullishly. It shouldn't be looking really bearish, right? Think about that. This chart doesn't look bullish, man. I mean, zooming out, yes, the dollar is in an uptrend. Okay. This was our 2017 blow-off top. This was our 2021 top. This was our bottom of the market, October 2023. This is our bull run. This is Bitcoin hitting its top here in January, December, confluent with actually the dollar topping out, which is interesting. So was that really the top, or was that a local top? And maybe these cycles are actually over, and we're just going to have normal market behavior just against the dollar. I don't know how this can play out. To me, right now, Bitcoin's still technically on track for its cycle. But what I will say, and what we will look at right now, is global liquidity index. Okay, because this is also very important to look at. If you notice, it's pretty close. It's pretty close every single time global liquidity kind of tops out. It's actually the top of a market cycle. Just like here, this look topped out. We got this drawdown. And then we had this massive leg up. This was COVID. We made this top. That was the global liquidity index top. All the global liquidity index is doing right now is actually coiling up for a major move. It actually looks like it just broke out of this wedge. If you look carefully. All while Bitcoin made a new all-time high. So this looks extremely interesting, and I wouldn't be really ignoring it. So if we are going to have like a bear market or whatever, it's going to be a short-lived one because the dollar's heading south and global liquidity is breaking out. I wouldn't say it's flirting with anything right now. I mean, technically, Bitcoin is in uptrend. Until Bitcoin takes out this $53,000 low and makes a lower low, I think it's technically fine from a technical perspective. I mean, bearish divergence, like, dude, the S&P's been bearishly diverging for 10 years. I mean, yeah, this does look like a massive rising wedge. I mean, I think I said this before, and these are usually pretty accurate, okay? These are usually pretty accurate. Every time you get a monthly deviation on the band, it usually marks some sort of top. And this was an inside band move, but this was actually the retest. Alts can't rally until Bitcoin's consolidating and stabilizing somewhere. So I wouldn't say we're going to have an alt run any time soon until this market actually just decides what it's going to do. So you're betting on an alt run. It's tough. It's tough to really be in that camp right now, right? Like equities are selling off. Equities also look topped out here. Like S&P, NASDAQ, all look kind of the same thing. Rising wedge here on the NASDAQ. Looks pretty grim. Looks pretty bad, you know. But in terms of like metrics for Bitcoin, pi cycle, we didn't hit the pi cycle top. All the normal metrics, Glassnode metrics, we didn't hit top signals really. So this looks like a manufactured top. Anyways, yeah, it's not looking too great from a technical perspective. So if you're looking for up only right now, and it's not going to be up only here for a while. We're gonna get some nice bounces along the way. But yeah, man, if this is actually like shaping up to be a massive rising wedge, man, then that's pretty ugly. Pretty ugly stuff. That's like we didn't even get to the top of the wedge. But I'm not saying that it is. I'm in log scale. This chart probably looks a lot different on regular time scale. Yeah. So it's still in a hyperparabolic trend, like a hyperparabolic trend. Okay. We're talking about Bitcoin here. Okay. It's actually right on its line, on its parabola structure right now. So I would say if it loses that, yeah, we're probably going to see more downside. Yeah, we can look at ETH. I think, in terms of technicals, ETH already started its major drawdown, and if you look at the monthly, I mean, your stochastics are down here already. So this is becoming more of a buy than I would say Bitcoin is. Maybe not yet. We haven't had a cross up or anything, but your weekly already kind of got a reset here. Okay. No cross yet, but you can see it's trying to maybe start to form that. Now that can be negated by like the downside price action we're seeing right now, but I've been flashing like 2-day buy signals all the way down here. This is a great time to accumulate ETH for sure. Like if you have a long-term approach on this, I think, you could just snag some at every major support level. I don't think that that's a bad strategy. You might be holding this for a couple years. You got some levels in here. Once you really start to break this 2000 level, it looks like you're going to go see 1500 pretty quick. But yeah, you're now below the weekly 200-week moving average, which usually marks a low for ETH historically, unless we're talking about this COVID capitulation event right here. But yeah, man, I mean, this is kind of weak, right? You made this top here. You made this double top here. You broke the neckline. So your move down is about 43% from that neckline. So 43% move down would suggest, about like $1,400 ETH. All right. Your ETH Bitcoin ratio is also very, very wrecked. I have something like this plotted if we end up double bottoming or something, but I don't know if that low is going to hold, man. If we see if we go into a bear market, there's no way that this is going to play out. So, no, it's not, dude. It's not. I think that's really a good value area for it. But yeah, I mean, look, your monthly stochastics here on the ETH Bitcoin ratio is in the buy zone. It's not in the sell zone. It's in the buy zone. So if we really are going to see an alt run after this correction, and we end up making, we end up making one more push to retest the range high, we should see ETH outperform that move. We should see ETH outperform Bitcoin. That's what we should see. H-bar. Yeah, so H-bar takes out this candle body range low here from July 2021. There's really not any support here. It's just straight. It was a straight up move. So it's going to be a straight down move. Like 12 cents on monthly candle bodies. And maybe even 10 because you're if you start breaking this fib level at 19, there's really not another fib level until 10. So yeah, like 10 to 12 cent area. And again, with the monthly deviation, right? You get these monthly deviations. These usually mark local tops or tops, okay? And your monthly stochastics still look okay. But if you close the month doing this stuff, you're going to probably see this actually curl back down. And that would be monthly bearish divergence. Higher high on price versus this high. So yeah, you would be putting in monthly bearish divergence on H-bar on the stochastic RSI, which kind of is emulating what Bitcoin is doing right now, just lagging it. That's all. SUI. Sure, we'll take a look at SUI. Yeah, so SUI, rising wedge. I mean, I would say it actually almost completed that move. SUI printed a monthly or weekly pivot here right at the top of this rising wedge. You pretty much completed the rising wedge movement. I suspect you probably get some sort of bounce to maybe retest like 320s or something. But if this market's gonna continue rolling over, you're just gonna make a cup with handle to the downside, type of thing. And then you got this like long-term trend line here. That would make some sense for you to go back to, like $1 or something longer term here in the course of the next few months. We continue to see markets selling off. We'll look at Link. Okay, Link sitting at its 200-week moving average. Yeah, kind of close to its parallel channel here, which is interesting. Your monthly also kind of losing momentum here on the monthly stochastic RSI. Kind of looks like what Bitcoin did already. Maybe you're going to roll over here, with your bearish divergence on the stochastic RSI with this higher high on price. Yep. MACD, same thing, bearish divergence monthly. So I suspect further downside for something like this. You're looking at, a break of 13, you're looking at $9. That's your next level. So yeah, none of this looks good, guys, unfortunately. You even got your average sentiment oscillator here about to cross bearish on the monthly. You haven't had a monthly bearish cross on that since February of 22, which was actually when we really started catalyzing the rest of this bear market move for Link here. So we might be replicating something like this, maybe back down to $4 or something. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm just giving you an idea of when those monthlies cross like that, you get major movements down like that. All right. Can stock. I can't imagine this looks any good right now. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So your 3-week looks pretty toppy on your momentum here. You got this cross. You haven't technically confirmed it yet until this actually also rolls over with it. But I suspect if the NASDAQ and the S&P and Bitcoin are actually rolling over, then I don't suspect that this is going to really perform. But Yeah, I mean, you're retesting this break here that you had back from October. Yeah, I mean, if you lose this level, you're most likely coming back down to these lows. Because unfortunately, all you've really done is retest this $3 level as resistance. You know, if you ended up breaking it and back testing it or something, there would be, I would say, a stronger argument for this to go higher. But with the macro, with the way it is right now, it's really going to be difficult for this thing to perform. But yeah, I mean, you are working on a weekly reset, so maybe you end up holding this range. You know, flip a coin. Maybe you get a nice bounce here. Maybe it goes to retest 180 or something, gets rejected, and then breaks it, type of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't look the best like that. It's tough to be on. It's tough to be extremely bullish stuff right now with the macro the way it's looking. The S&P looking topped out, NASDAQ looking topped out. Yeah, you know, NASDAQ putting in a weekly short signal last week. Whether or not we see follow through on this, we're going to find out here pretty soon, but we're already opening up down 1% to start the week. That's not good. But I would say it's not even really, I mean, from a technical point of view, it's not even really that bad. All you're really going to have to do right now is just go retest this breakout, right? See the NASDAQ or the S&P come back down to the 4,800 region, you know, retest this breakout, find a base, and maybe we have another leg higher. You know, how long that takes, I don't know. But last correction that we made was back here in December of 21, and that lasted about 306 days, so almost like a year. So if we do something similar, that puts us in December of 2025 to maybe bottom out on the S&P. Right. And, you know, then we'll get this reset on our momentum to give us an opportunity to buy the S&P, just like we got here in September, October of 22. Plan is perfect. Okay. So yeah, I think a retest and then a blow off top or something, maybe by next year or something. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to end up happening or if we get maybe we bounce somewhere sooner. Maybe we end up bouncing here off this 511 region. But usually, like, if we're going into a recession, which I don't think we are right now, but if we were, we would be getting more than a 30% drawdown. The last real recession we had was 2008, right? And that was this right here. This was a 56% drawdown. So if we do what I'm saying and we just come back down and retest our breakout, that would be a 23% drawdown on the S&P. That's what that would be, which I wouldn't even consider that to be a bearish thing. That would actually be a really bullish thing to see. But those 23% drawdowns on the S&P for crypto usually spells a bear market for crypto. So that's kind of what that is. And if we get it, that's what it would look like. And it really looks like that's what it's going to do. Any other assets you guys want to look at tonight? What is strategic reserve changes flow of investments? The strategic reserve thing was a complete nothing burger. I mean, basically, they just said that they weren't going to be selling the Bitcoin that they hold from confiscating. The only thing that you can hope for is that other countries implement something similar and that they end up buying Bitcoin. That's really it. Yeah, that's great. For the long term, it's great. I just, high time frame right now, I don't see any real upside in this market right now. That's all. Not until these monthlies reset. Talk to me when the monthly stochastic RSI in Bitcoin is back down here. Then we can talk about Bitcoin going higher. I think, like I said before, what ends up happening is something like this. We find some sort of support level where we broke out from, whether it be 74K, whether it be 68K, I don't know, somewhere in this range, in this region, and we get a nice bounce off this level, and we make an attempt at rally, is what we'll do. I don't know where that will end. But it will probably do something like that, like it kind of did back here. So we'll probably do something like that. We might even make a higher high on price. In fact, I think we will make a higher high on price on that move because we have the US dollar index collapsing right now. So even if this isn't a strong move on relative strength index terms, this could still catalyze us to make a new high on price and make even more bearish divergence. And that would be our top. That's it. So this could happen. Might take a few more months for this to play out. And the thing that's going to basically tell us that is this weekly right here. Once this crosses up and gives us a signal, that's going to be when we get that momentum back in the market. So that's pretty much it. And if that, if that takes us into, September or October, then that actually is pretty much perfect for the cycle. There's a lot of things that are coming up that are gonna catalyze this last move, man. I think we probably have one more move left in this market before it's done on this cycle. It's going to take some months. Like I said, maybe like June, July, somewhere in there. But in 4 months, where can these assets go in 4 months, dude? We're seeing what's happening in a 2-month window. We just saw Bitcoin drop from 109K down to 78K, for example, right? So, you could be looking at some major drawdowns that are still, happening here. ETH down to 1,300 or something from its $4,000 $3,800 move or $4,000 top that it made. Yeah. So having some powder to reaccumulate these things right now is good. There you go, Mr. Big. Bear market starts in April. So, Mr. Big, have you liquidated everything, bro? Are you out of all your stocks, man? %. Bear market could be like 50% drop in the S&P. Okay. Good. What are you rolling it into, man? You're gonna roll it into gold? Gold's probably gonna continue to 3,500. Gold's pretty up there, though. I probably wouldn't be buying gold up here personally. But yeah. Okay. Well, I've been live for almost an hour here. You guys want to look at anything else? IONQ. Yeah, sure. Let's look at it. Okay. Well, I don't know when we drew this, but it almost did that move. Probably to the 1272 would have been about right. But yeah, dude. Monthly bear div on the stochastic RSI, implying movements down here in the coming days, weeks, months, whatever, on this high time frame. Are there going to be bounces? Yeah. Your next fib level down here is like $14. It's actually a really $14, $15 level here is a pretty high volume area on the chart. So you never actually retested this breakout, so you might do that. And then after you do that, you might get a nice push back up to like 24, make a lower high, and then roll over, something like that. If we're going into like a bear market. It's really a difficult thing to say. There's a couple metrics that I'm looking at, like the US dollar index and the global liquidity index, that point to something completely different. So I think it's possible we get one more leg in these markets later on in the year. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to see global liquidity break out and get to this level here in the next few months, and this kind of make a lower high and then roll over, global liquidity go down, and then that's when all the markets actually just crash, and that's when we get our recession or bear market or whatever. So something like that. So yeah, like I said before, high time frame on Bitcoin, even though it made bearish divergence like that, and it's pulling back right now, it's fine from a technical perspective, as long as it makes a higher low than the lows we put in here in July of 24, right? Because we just, if we make a low here at 70K and we use 70K as support, all we did was break out and back test it, and maybe then we pivot and we try to rally, and off this rally, that'd be probably our all-time high for the cycle, and then that's when we go into this bear market. Yeah, you could, dude. The Nasdaq looks like it's also going to retest its breakout, right? Rising wedge, probably the 17,000 region on a high time frame. Looks about where it'll go. I wouldn't call that a bear market, though. Was this a bear market here from 2021 to 2022? Was that considered a bear market for the stock market? That was roughly a 30% drawdown. Well, all right. Anything else you guys want me to cover real quick? It's going on 9 o'clock here. No problem, Joe. You have a great night, bro. Sure. All right. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up. Yeah. So just understand high time frames here don't look the best. We're going to get bounces. Yes. We're going to get retests. Yes. We're going to get all those things that happen in downtrends or during major drawdowns and pullbacks and corrections. I'm not here to say we're in a bear market right now. We're not in a bear market right now. I can't even make that designation until we actually take out those breakout areas and we end up using them as resistance, or we make some failed rally attempts to make confirmed double tops on high time frames like that. We haven't done any of that yet. So right now, this just looks like a correction. That's what it looks like. So I would think we're still in a bull run until we're not in a bull run. That's it. Maybe protect yourself if you want. The real kicker here is, the weekly printing long here on Tether is telling you that we got probably more downside here in the coming weeks. And if we end up taking out this 200-week moving average up here, we're going to have some more blood on the streets, man. All right. Yeah. So the good thing is we got a weekly band deviation here. So what that means is we could see maybe a potential bounce this week. We could get this to draw down a little bit. And that could just mean Bitcoin goes and retests, I don't know, 90K or something, or 87K or something. Yeah, maybe probably just like a lower high. All right. If this really accelerates somehow and we really just start bearishly engulfing this stuff, and like we come back up to test it and then we really break it, then yeah, we're going to see some crazy stuff happening on the chart, but the high time frames aren't suggesting that. That's the problem. The weekly time frame looks like it's almost reset. So there could be some momentum that comes back in. And that's kind of what we were alluding to earlier after we get that retest of, 70, 74K region. Might get front ran too, may not even get there. I don't know how it's going to play out. I just know that the high time frames with the monthly bearish divergence is playing out. And that could be multi-months of downside, which since January, it's been about a couple months, but we've only now seen the price start to decline, right? So we could be ending that here soon, maybe by the end of the month. We could maybe find some sort of low. And then into April, May, or June, we start to see that recovery back up or make that bearish divergence again. Either A, we make a new high on price with lower levels of relative strength, or it's a weak sauce rally and we put in a double top or a lower high. And that's kind of what we might end up doing before we actually go into a bear market. So something like that is what I'd be looking for. I just don't think we're just going to just crash and just break all the levels and just go straight down like that without some sort of relief rally or some sort of mean reversion type of move. Okay. That's typically how it goes. Anyways, seems like I'm just talking to myself. There's 5 people listening. All right. You guys have a wonderful week. Trade safe, trade smart, and we'll catch you guys next week.